Hey everyone, welcome back. Our app is starting to look pretty good. So next up for us is getting the products view controller all set up. So if we click on one of our categories, we see that we have a single dummy product in here that we manually created here in the products view controller, if you recall. And in this lesson, we are going to start adding products to Firestore, fetching them and displaying them. So let's get going. First off, let's create a couple products manually in our database in the Firebase console. So go ahead and pull that up. And now is a good time to discuss the decision of where to place collections. We are going to be adding products. Each of those products belongs to a category. So you might think that the natural place to set up this collection would be in a sub-collection of the category document. So we have each category here: landscapes, cityscapes, portraits, and we could add a collection right here called products. And then the way that you would fetch those products would be through the categories path. You would say collection categories, .document, .subcollection products, and then you would fetch all of the products for that particular category. And this would work fine. However, remember that Firestore queries are not able to fetch data across separate collections. So for instance, say you wanted to query your products based on price instead of categories. Well, you have your products in two different collections, and it's not going to be easy to do that. Or maybe you want to add something into your admin app where you want to see all of your products quickly. Maybe you want to make it so some products are able to apply to multiple categories. These cases would not be easy with placing them as sub-collections to individual documents. You would have to go through each category to sub-collection of products query, fetch the results, do the next query, fetch the results, etc., and then aggregate those results. So what is the solution? We can place our products in a single root collection and then query based on a category ID field or any other query criteria that we want to. That way, if you needed all the products or to query across other criteria like price or availability, you could easily do so. So with all that in mind, we are going to create a collection here called products. I'm going to click on add collection, products, and say next. And then it's going to ask us to add our first document. I'm going to auto ID. And then we need to jump back into Xcode and remember what we are adding as the fields for a product. So let's go into Xcode, check out our product model. And we see here our different fields or properties for our product struct. And we have name, ID, category, price, product description, image URL, timestamp, and stock. Favorite, we are actually getting rid of. Favorites are specific to individual users, not the product as a whole. So with that, let's go ahead and pull this over to my other screen so that I can see the fields as I type them into our Firebase console here. So we have name, and let's go ahead and do entries for our landscapes category. So I'll call this mountain range. Then we'll add a field. Next up is the ID, which I'll just copy here and paste. Next up is the category. Okay. And this, I'm going to just put in some dummy text for now. We'll grab the category ID in a second and add that back. Let's see here. Category, what's next? Price, and that is of type number. And we'll say 20. Then we have product description. So I'm going to say product description. And we'll give this a string, say a beautiful mountain range. Add field. Next up we have the image URL. Let's go ahead and open up another tab and go to Unsplash. And let's see here. This one looks good. I'll just right click, say copy image address, come back into Artable and paste that for our image URL field. And then we have timestamp. This is of type timestamp. You can go ahead and select a date and then another field. This is stock. This is also a number. And for now, right now, I'll just put 0. Alrighty, so that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then I'm going to create another document, but I'm going to go ahead and just speed through this one real quick. So I'm going to say add document. All right, very good. So we have our 2 products, one for an ocean and one for a mountain range. And we need to go ahead and put the category in. So let's go to our categories and find our landscapes one and check out the ID. I'm just going to copy that category ID, come back to products, and then we can update the value for our category right here by clicking on the edit field, and then we can paste the landscapes category ID right here, document ID, and then the same thing for our other product, and paste that right there and update that. All right, so now we have 2 products in our products collection up here on Firestore with all of the data that we need. So let's come back into Xcode, and if we come back into our products VC, we can get started setting up our Firestore listener and fetching data, parsing and displaying it. Now this is going to be very similar to what we did with the categories. So let's recap what we did there here in our home vc.swift. And then I want you to try and replicate that on your own for the products, okay? So let's check out what we did in home VC to make this happen. First, we have a listener. Okay, of type listener registration. This is so that we can continue to receive updates on our data. Then we have, let's see here, come down here to our set categories listener. We set that listener equal to a snapshot listener. And then we have a query right here in our extension for Firebase. So our collection is categories.order by timestamp. For products, this is going to be the same thing, except our collection is going to be products, okay? So we have our query, we have our snapshot listener, and then we have our document changes. And this is going to be very similar for the products as well, except instead of initializing with a category, you are going to be initializing with a product. So you're going to need to create your own initializer like this here in your product model. And then you'll need to go ahead and check the document change types and set up your on-document change functions. All right, and this is going to be almost identical, except instead of collection view functions, you're going to be using table view functions. They're almost the same, just a little bit different, but you should be able to figure it out. And instead of index paths using item, you'll be initializing with index path, row, and section instead of item and section. And to get started, all I want you to do is fetch all the documents in the products collection like we do with categories. We can do the query together in the next lesson where we query based on the actual category that was clicked on. Yeah, so take this challenge on. Ask questions if you get stuck before moving on to the solution in the next video. Really give this a try. This will be a good test to see how you're doing. So really take this challenge on. Ask questions, whether here in the Q&A or in the Slack channel. I'm always there to answer questions. So good luck, and I will see you in the next one where we will go through the solution together. All right, see you there.